synthesized near the site of their action. So the site of their release is near their site of action. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng autocoids, local hormones. Unlike yung mga totoong hormones, yung mga true hormones, their site of action, okay, is very far from their site of release. Diba? Example, the growth hormone. Saan ba nare-release yung growth hormone? It's from your anterior pituitary gland. But it works on the epiphysis of your bones. Diba? The epiphysis of your long bones, yung growth plate. Dun siya nag-act. So, the hormones can act systemically, while the local hormones only act literally, where they are usually synthesized or secreted. So, the perfect example of of an autocoid is histamine. Okay? Sige. Also, the eicosanoids are also autocoids. Yung binanggit ko kanina, eicosanoids. Yung mga prostaglandins, these are also autocoids. Okay? So, saan ba nanggaling si histamine? Histamine is derived from the amino acid histidine. Through the enzyme histidine decarboxylase, we form histamine. So, where do we usually synthesize histamine, or where the histamine molecules are usually stored? They are stored from the granulocyte. Granulocytes. So, sino po yung mga granulocytes natin? Okay? So, it includes the mast cells. Okay, the mast cells account for the highest percentage of where the histamines are stored. Okay. Others include the eosinophils. Yan. Pero more on mga mast cells talaga. Okay. Also the basophils. Pwede. Yeah. Basophils. These are the granulocytes. Correct. Okay. Thank you po, Doc. But again, it's pinakamarami ang concentration ng histamine sa mga mast cells. Okay? So, let's talk about now the receptors of histamine. So, histamine has 4 subtypes of receptors. Okay, may 4 na subtypes, but only 2 are clinically relevant. Only histamine 1 and histamine 2 are the important ones. So, the histamine receptors are also examples of G protein coupled receptors. So, for histamine 1, it's linked with GQ. For histamine 2, GS. And the other histamines, which are not clinically relevant, are linked or coupled with the GI receptors. Okay? So, ano bang effect ni histamine 1 when histamine binds to the histamine 1 receptor? Okay? It facilitates pag QQQ. Ano nga pag QQQ? Contraction or relaxation? Can you help me recall kapag po GQ? Okay, contraction. Contraction. Correct. So, contraction of the smooth muscle. Okay? Except the endothelium. Okay? Ano po yung endothelium? Yan yung lining ng mga blood vessels natin, which causes it to relax. Okay? Naalala nyo ba sinong receptor din yan? Yung nagko-contract all effects except yung endothelium nagre-relax. Do you still remember which receptor is also the same? GQ din siya, tapos all the effects are contract, 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 except the endothelium or the vascular smooth muscle. Sino yan? Naalala niyo pa ba yung sinabi ko? Si M sub? Sinong M? Check mo sa notes mo. M sub. Wala sa notes. Si M sub 3. Hindi ko sinabi. Hindi. Okay. So, yan. Hindi talaga. Diba si M sub 3 sa endothelium, it secretes nitric oxide, which cause the blood vessels to relax. Hindi pa din. Hindi ko po nabanggit yan. Hindi na nila, baka pagod na si na Doc. Hindi na maalala. Okay. Balikan niyo po. M sub 3 is also responsible for contraction of the smooth muscles except for the endothelium. Because of nitric oxide, it causes the smooth muscle, the vascular smooth muscle to relax. That's also applicable for the histamine 1 receptor. It's GQ, and then all the effects are contraction for the smooth muscle, except the blood vessels. For the H2 naman, this is GS. So increase in cyclic AMP leads to, okay, increase in hydrochloric acid secretion. So the H2 is implicated for the secretion and production of hydrochloric acid. So overactivity of histamine on the H2 receptor can lead to hyperacidity. On the other hand, overactivity of histamine on the H1 receptor leads to allergic reaction. So, pag H1 allergy, yan yung disease. Okay, pag naman po H2 hyperacidity or what we call ulcers. Pwede rin siya for the ulcers. Okay? So, these are the examples of histamine antagonists. So, let's proceed one by one. For the physiologic antagonists, I already mentioned this to you. Okay, epinephrine is the physiologic antagonist of histamine during anaphylactic shock because epinephrine could reverse severe allergic reaction by binding to a completely separate receptor. So it binds to the beta 2 and the alpha 1 receptor, which leads to bronchodilation, okay, and vasoconstriction. Okay? Kasi nga, kapag histamine, lahat ng smooth muscle nagko-contract. So, merong bronchospasm pag may allergy. Except yung blood vessels, nagdadilate. So, look, the effects of epinephrine could effectively reverse the effect of histamine. Next would be the release inhibitors. So, ano po ba yung release inhibitors? They prevent the degranulation okay, of the granulocyte, most especially the mast cells. Kaya how do we call the release inhibitors? We can clinically call them as mast cells, okay, in stabilizers. Okay, so the mast cell stabilizers prevent the degranulation of the mast cell to release histamine. Okay, so these drugs are more on prophylaxis. Okay, they are not effective if the allergic reaction is ongoing. Okay, so prophylaxis sila, prevention. And we have the pharmacologic antagonists. We have two, the H1 receptor blockers and the H2 receptor blockers. So let's proceed one by one. So the first one is the H1 receptor antagonist. They are classified, mga doc, into two generations. Okay, first generation and the second generation. So what's the difference between, okay, first gen and second gen? For first gen, they are said to be sedating, okay, antihistamines. Bakit sila sedating? Because they exhibit more lipid solubility. Ibig sabihin, they can cross the blood-brain barrier and enter the central nervous system. That's why they can also inhibit the central histamine receptors in the brain. Okay? Yun po ang mga first generations natin. Okay? Aside from that, some first generation antihistamines are notoriously, okay, exhibiting anti-cholinergic activity. Cholinergic. Okay, they exhibit significant anti-cholinergic. Ano nga pag anti-cholinergic? Ano yung nangyayari sa'yo? Katuyuan o kabasaan? Can you still remember the autonomic drugs? Can you help me in the chat box? Pag anti-cholinergic, anong kinokos? Basa or tuyo? Is it kabasaan, guys? Pag anti-cholinergic? Okay, tuyo. Katuyuan. Yun yung, yeah. Okay, dry mouth, reduce sweating, okay, reduce urination or urinary retention, okay, dry eyes. Those are the anti-cholinergics. Okay, let's proceed with the first group of the first generation antihistamines. We have the ethanolamines. So the ethanolamines are the most sedating among the first generation, okay, antihistamines. And they also have significant anti-cholinergic activity. So yung plus sign dito, yan po yung cholinergic activity nila. Diba? Rather anti-cholinergic activity. So kung titignan nyo, they have very high affinity to block the muscarinic receptors and cause anti-cholinergic activity. So the ethanolamines, aside from being useful as a drug for allergy, we also use them as a sleeping pills. So we use them to induce sleep because they are sedating. Okay. However, I told you they are not good drugs because they have many side effects like the anti-cholinergic activity. Okay, that's for the ethanolamine. Let's have piperazines. Okay, so si piperazines Ang unique sa kanila is they can cause, okay, mild sedation. So, mild sedation lang. Pero with marked anti-motion sickness. Okay? Ayan, nakasulat na pala. So, slight sedation sila with marked anti-motion sickness. So, ginagamit natin to. Ito yung mga ginagamit natin pag bumabiyahe, gusto mong sumakay ng eroplano, bus, taxi na ayaw mong mahilo. So, that includes meclizine. 'Di ba ang sa Philippines ang brand niyan Bonamine. So Bonamine is a chewable tablet that you need to chew before like mga 15 minutes or 20 minutes before ka ma-subject to uh, untoward motion. Yan nga, like yung pagsakay mo ng bus. Okay? Yeah. Next, we have the alkylamines. So, yung alkylamines naman, guys, they are usually components of OTC cold preparation. So, ginagamit natin sila in combination with cold preps, yung mga pangsipon. In the Philippines, ang sikat dyan ay si chlorpheniramine or this is also known as chlorphenamine. Chlorphenamine. Yeah. Okay? So, component yan ng, di ba, Neozep, kay BioFlu. So, tatlo yun, di ba? Paracetamol, phenylephrine. So, na-discuss na natin yung dalawa. Si paracetamol, it's an analgesic and antipyretic. Ano naman si phenylephrine? A nasal decongestant. Yung third ingredient ng Neozep tsaka ni BioFlu ay chlorphenamine or chlorpheniramine, which is an antihistamine. Okay. So these are the three components of these drugs. Yeah. Next is the phenothiazine. So yung mga phenothiazines, they were not initially discovered as antihistamines. Okay? Like si promethazine. Promethazine is, okay, an antipsychotic agent. Okay, ginagamit yan for schizophrenia. But they discovered that promethazine has affinity to other types of receptors. Sino yung mga receptors na yun? Histamine 1, okay, muscarinic, and the alpha receptors. Kaya nga po, ginagamit na siya ngayon, okay, as an antihistamine when no available treatment are available. Okay? Sige. Last, cyproheptadine. Si cyproheptadine naman, it's very unique. Aside from blocking histamine, it could also block the serotonin receptors or the 5-HT receptors. Yeah. So, cyproheptadine is used in the management of serotonin syndrome. So, the common drugs that can cause serotonin syndrome are antidepressants. Okay, so masama naman po pag sumobra ka ng serotonin. Okay? So, the antidote to overcome serotonin syndrome, one of the drugs that we can effectively use to reverse serotonin syndrome is cyproheptadine. Cyproheptadine. Okay. The next one is the second generation. So pag sinabi natin second generation, baligtarin mo lang lahat ng sinabi ko. Okay, are they sedating? No, they are less. Okay, or true non-sedating. Okay. Are they lipid soluble? No, they are more polar and less lipid soluble. Can they enter the brain? No, they cannot penetrate the brain. That's why they are less or true non-sedating. Okay. So for the first two, these are the true non-sedating. And for cetirizine, this is less sedating. Okay? So, yung kapatid ni cetirizine, si levo, pareho lang yun, levocetirizine. Okay? Acrivastine. These are also less sedating drugs. Yung kapatid naman loratadine, desloratadine. Okay? Anong advantage ng mga second generation sa mga first generation aside sa less sedating? They are usually administered once a day. They exhibit longer duration of action. So the usual dose is once a day unless directed by the physician. So you only take it once a day. Okay? So that's the difference between the first and the second generation. So if you are a pilot, which, may nagtaas ng kamay. Sino yun? Si Doc David? Parang nakita ko. May tanong ka po, Doc?
Dok, pag sumobra. If once a day po siya tinitik, ano po mangyari pag na twice, na thrice?
Pag dalawa?
Okay. Di ba po, Dok, sabi po is once a day lang siya tinitake po, Dok.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless prescribed by the doctor.
Yeah.
Ano po mangyayari po pag sumobra po?
Good question. So, pwede po na kapag masyadong mataas yung dose na binigay mo, magkakaroon ka ng anticholinergic side effect. So, more on side effects lang naman po. Yeah. So, kunwari, ano nga yung mga anticholinergic, lahat ng kadrayan sa katawan. Yung pwede kang magka-dry skin, tapos may eczema ka. Diba? So that could trigger your eczema. Instead of, diba, sometimes we also use antihistamines to manage some skin problems like hives. Ano nga yung hives sa ano? Pamamantal. Ayun, pamamantal. Pag po sumobra ka sa dose ng mga antihistamine, pwede silang mag-cause ng mga anticholinergic. So, hives could be triggered again by dry skin. Yeah. So, it would just cause more side effects, Doc.
You know,
Okay po. Yeah. So, do you have any question po regarding the following? Okay. Thank you po. Next, we have the FDA-approved histamine antagonists for topical ocular uses. So these are the specific antihistamines that we also use. Okay. Most of them are mast cell stabilizers. Okay. We have phenyramine and antazoline. So they are antihistamines, meaning they block the H1 receptors. And they are usually combined with ocular decongestant called nafazoline, okay, which are used in the treatment of allergic conjunctivitis. We also have emedastin, which has the same, okay, advantage, is it's a single drug. So emedastin has like a vasoconstricting activity aside from uh, ant- an antihistamine. Okay. Next is cromolyn sodium and ladoxamide, including pemirolast. So these are found to be used, okay, in the treatment of conjunctivitis, but the cause should be from allergy, okay, such as vernal conjunctivitis. So these are not purely antihistamines, these are mast cell stabilizers. Okay, next, nidocromil. So this is again a mast cell stabilizer with some antihistamine properties. So it could also block the H1 receptor. We have the olopatadine, okay, ketotifen, bitostatin, and azelastine. These are H1 receptor blockers with mast cell stabilizing properties. So clinically, they are antihistamine, okay, classified as antihistamine, but they can also prevent the degranulation of the mast cell to release histamine. And lastly, we have epinestine. Epinestine is a non-selective H, okay, or non-selective histamine antagonist or blocker, which also exhibit mast cell stabilizing activity. Okay? So yung mga H2 blockers naman, guys, or H2 antagonist, ginagamit sila for ulcers or hyperacidity. Okay? Ito yung mga nag-end sa tidines. Okay, cimetidine, famotidine, ranitidine, nizatidine. Okay, so sila po yung mga nag-end sa tidines. We can use them to treat ulcers. Okay, si Kreml S advanced, it has famotidine. Okay, do you have any question regarding the antihistamine so far? Can I see heart reactions? Okay, good. Let's now move on to the last topic under the anti-inflammatory drugs. So let's proceed with the corticosteroids. So the corticosteroids are usually uh, they are usually derived from what we call the adrenal gland. Okay, they are derived naturally. We have corticosteroids, and they are mostly derived from the adrenal gland. If we remember, the adrenal gland has two locations, the adrenal cortex, okay, and the adrenal medulla, cortex and the medulla. Ang naituro ko pa lang previously ay si adrenal medulla. Sino nga yung hormone na nasisikret sa adrenal medulla? Which one? It's epinephrine, which is a catecholamine. Okay, for the adrenal cortex, okay, this is where the corticosteroids are synthesized and secreted. They have two zones. Dalawa po yung zone ng cortex natin. Okay? Zona glomerulosa. Zona glomerulosa. So this is where what? The mineralocorticoids are formed. Okay, and then the zone or zona fasciculata. Fasci, fasciluta, fasciculata, fasciculata. Okay, this is where the corticoids. So, sino po yung merong anti-inflammatory activity? Which corticosteroid? Only the glucocorticoids. Okay, the mineralocorticoids does not exhibit anti-inflammatory activity. Okay, they are only involved in salt and water. Okay, retention. Salt and water retention. So, ang example ng mineralocorticoid ay si aldosterone. Aldosterone. Ayan, i-discuss ko yan pag nasa anti-hypertensive agents na tayo. So, aldosterone is a mineralocorticoid which retains salt and water. But for for the glucocorticoids, they exhibit potent anti-inflammatory activity. Okay? Ito na pala siya. Okay, so si glucocorticoids, our natural glucocorticoids is cortisol or chemically known as hydrocortisone. For the mineralocorticoid, I already mentioned this, aldosterone. Aldosterone. So the release of the corticosteroids, mga doc, is influenced by the pituitary gland. So the one who controls releasing the corticosteroids basally is the adrenal tuloy, is the pituitary gland. So it regulates the secretion of corticotropin. Pin. Or ano ang other name nito? ACTH. Adenocorticotropin. Pareho lang yun. Okay? So, it controls the release of pituitary gland controls the release of corticosteroids by regulating corticotropin. So, if the pituitary gland sabi niya, okay, no corticosteroids muna. So, bababaan niya yung levels ni corticotropin. So, to inhibit the release of the corticosteroids in the adrenal cortex. So, ano ba yung mechanism of action ng mga glucocorticoids? Why they are potent anti-inflammatory drugs? So, glucocorticoids, okay, their receptors would be the type 4 receptors. Ano nga yung type 4? Yung dulo. They are the intracellular or the nuclear receptors. Nuclear receptors. So the drug should able to enter, okay, the cell in order to interact with the receptor in the nucleus. So the drug now, okay, will bind to the transcription factors. Okay, these transcription factors are called the glucocorticoid response elements for the glucocorticoids. For the mineralocorticoids, the transcription factors are called the mineralocorticoid specific elements. And that would now regulate okay, and control, okay, the formation of DNA and eventually the formation of proteins. Okay? Kaya po napaka-powerful ng mga glucocorticoids as an anti-inflammatory agents because they could also affect the transcription factors that dictates, okay, how the genes are formed and synthesized in the body. Okay? So ano po yung mga important glucocorticoids that we have, okay, in the market? So the first one is the prodrug prednisone. So prednisone is the most common systemic glucocorticoid. This is usually formulated in a form of a tablet. Pero pwede rin siyang parenteral administration. Prednisone is preferred because it's a prodrug. Pero it has an active metabolite which is also formulated as a drug called prednisone. Prednisolone. So yung mas maikli yung prodrug. Yung active drug is prednisolone. Okay? So that's it. We also have beta metasone. So si beta metasone, ginagamit siya for like many clinical uses, especially for inflammatory conditions. It's also formulated topically. So kung napapansin nyo, may mga beta-metasone na administered topically. Okay? If the NSAIDs are not effective in closing the patent ductus arteriosus, so ano nga yung prostaglandin na nagme-maintain ng patency ng ductus arteriosus? Can you help me recall in the chat box, mga doc? Sino nga? P Sinong prostaglandin yan? PGE2. Correct. So, paano nga na-form si PGE2? From COX, diba? And COX from arachidonic acid. And then membrane lipids to phospholipase A2. Okay? So, NSAIDs target this. Okay? Kaso, may mga bata na they are refractory to the effects of NSAIDs. Ibig sabihin, upon administration of like ibuprofen or indomethacin to the patient, hindi pa rin nagko-close yung patency ng kanilang ductus arteriosus. Okay? So, for refractory patent ductus arteriosus, we have to administer dexamethasone. So, this will block phospholipase A2 to block the synthesis of prostaglandins. Kaya bakit tayong DEXA? Si beta-metasone, beta po. Si beta-metasone, ginagamit din yan to accelerate the closure of the patent ductus arteriosus. Okay? For dexamethasone naman, marami rin tong pero ginagamit siya for diagnosis of Cushing syndrome. Okay, what's Cushing syndrome? That's excess glucocorticoids. Okay, a condition wherein the patient has excess glucocorticoids. Kabaligtaran niya yung Addison's disease. So, para hindi kayo malito, pag Addison's, mag-a-add kasi kulang pa siya. So, ito naman, very low glucocorticoids. It's a condition wherein the body has very low glucocorticoids. Pag naman Cushing, kabaligtaran ni Addison's, excess glucocorticoids. Okay? Next is triamcinolone. So marami ring gamit si triamcinolone. One of the uses of triamcinolone is it's usually directly injected into the joints. Okay? For the management of arthritis. Arthritis. For hydrocortisone and cortisone, so ginagamit naman yung mga yan, okay, for systemic inflammation. So madalas sa ospital po yan sila ginagamit to manage systemic inflammation. Okay? Si fluoromethalone, it's less common. Okay? So there are also some glucocorticoids that we use as inhaled corticosteroids. Yung mga ini-inhale by mouth, diba? By oral inhalation, example is budesonide. Okay? This is an inhaled corticosteroid, which is usually formulated in inhalers. Okay? Pero pang-asthma lang sila, tsaka COPD. Let's proceed with the systemic effects of glucocorticoids. So the glucocorticoids are very efficacious. Okay, they are one of the most efficacious drugs that we have. However, their effect is very vast. They could affect many organ systems. That's why we need to use them with caution, okay, when they are prescribed to patients because they can entirely affect your body. So ano-ano ba yung mga important organ systems na naapektuhan ng mga glucocorticoids? First is your metabolism, mga doc. It can cause gluconeogenesis or increase glucose production. Okay? It could also trigger increased lipid formation. Okay? Or increased lipogenesis. So in short, when you take glucocorticoids, the blood glucose rises. Okay? Also involved din yung ating mga insulin secretion. Okay? Si lipolysis and lipogenesis is also stimulated. Pero the net effect is more on lipid formation. Mas lamang yung lipid formation. Kaya nga po, alam na alam nyo kapag yung tao ay nagte-take ng steroid. Anong itsura nila? There is fat deposition in the face. Oh, pero wag niyo akong i-judge, mataba lang talaga yung mukha ko. Hindi ako nagte-take ng steroids. Ayan, face and shoulders. Nakita mo na ba si Johnny Bravo? Kilala niyo pa ba si Johnny Bravo, Dok? Naku, parang hindi na ata makarelate tong mga batang to. Sina Doc, kilala yan. Si Johnny Bravo. Doc, rescue niyo ako, Doc. Si Johnny Bravo. Si Johnny Bravo is an inverted triangle-shaped man. Yung parang mga macho na itsura. Nakakita na ba kayo ng macho na itsura? Ganun siya, inverted, triangle yung shape niya. Yung natatawa si Doc Rodelio. Kilala mo si Johnny Bravo, Doc, no?
Dok, hindi.
Ay,
Gen Z
hindi rin.
ako.
Gen Z ka rin ba, Doc? Ay, sorry. Ako pala ang matanda dito. Ayan, basta kapag nakakita ka na ng mukhang macho, yan. Alam na alam mo kapag sila ay naka-steroid. meron silang moon face, malaki yung mukha nila, and then inverted triangle yung kanilang body. Okay? That's metabolic effects. For catabolic effects naman, mga doc, glucocorticoids can cause muscle protein metabolism. Okay? Especially catabolic effects. Catabolic. Ano nga yung catabolic, mga doc? Catabolic is breaking down. Okay? Breaking down of, okay, the muscle. Pero delikado siya sa breaking down of the bone. Ayan. So, glucocorticoids, mga doc, are causing osteoporosis because they can also break down the bones. Okay? Pag naman binigay mo yan long term sa mga bata, it could stunt their growth. Ma-inhibit yung growth nila. Ayun, na-realize ko na. Kilala niyo naman si Chris Aquino, di ba? Kilala niya siya. Yeah. Nakita niya ba yung face niya? Parang namamaga. Yeah. Hindi siya tumaba because siya ay naka-steroid. I think marami kasi siyang mga autoimmune disease. That's why she is on steroids. Okay? So, sir, bakit may autoimmune siya? Bakit pwede yung steroids? Ito na. Look, it has immunosuppressive effect. Ano nga pag autoimmune? Your own body destroys your body. So it secretes antibody that targets your own cells. So the immune system is overactive. So the glucocorticoids could help, okay, suppress the immune system because they are what? They can kill the lymphocytes. Okay, the lymphocytes. Ayan. Kaya nga pag ikaw ay naka-steroids, you are also immunocompromised. Okay, madali ka pong tablan ng mga sakit. Okay, you are immunocompromised. And lastly, ito yung pinakagusto natin na effect, which is anti-inflammatory. So it blocks the enzyme phospholipase A2. So what are the ocular effects of glucocorticoids? So we can use them for a variety of clinical indications. Of course, it's the anti-inflammatory effect. Okay, we can also restore toward normal excessive permeability of inflamed capillaries. We can also decrease cellular and fibrinous exudation and tissue infiltration. We can also inhibit fibroblastic and collagen forming activity, retard epithelial and endothelial generation. Okay, they also cause mydriasis and blepharoptosis. So those are the ocular effects of glucocorticoids when administered topically. Okay, so ano bang clinical indication nila for systemic naman? So they are divided into two, adrenal and non-adrenal. For Addison's, ano nga to? Ito yung low levels of GCs. So dahil wala kang GC, anong sabi ni Kuya Will? Bigyan ng GC yan. So bibigyan mo ng mga glucocorticoids to manage Addison's disease. For non-adrenal disorders, they can be used for inflammation. Okay? Lahat po ng mga inflammatory disease, pwede ang mga glucocorticoids. Example, you have mga inflammatory bowel diseases, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, also yung mga skin inflammatory disease like eczema, psoriasis, yung mga lahat ng inflammatory, pwede ang mga steroids. But again, we have to use them with caution. They need to be prescribed by a doctor. Okay? We can also use them when the immune system is overacting as immunosuppressant. So yung mga autoimmune disease. Okay, lahat po ng mga autoimmune disease na alam nyo, example, lupus. Lupus is an example of an autoimmune disease. Lupus is SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus. Lupus. Ito po yung kanina na binanggit ko. Ano nga yun? It facilitates the closure of the patent ductus arteriosus or PDA. So, lung maturation of the fetus. Pwede siyang gamitin. How about for ocular uses? We can use it for eyelid diseases, conjunctival diseases, scleritis, and keratitis. So, it depends, mga doc, on the route of administration. Pag topical, ito yung mga disorders of the anterior segment. Pag systemic and injectables like intravitreal and periocular, okay, these are the posterior segment diseases, like your optic neuritis and scleritis. Okay, the rest are topical. So usually, topical talaga siya yung mga glucocorticoids. So sino-sino po yung mga topically administered na mga glucocorticoids that include dexamethasone, okay, prednisolone, fluorometholone, loteprednol, okay, remexolone, and difluprednate. So they are used for a variety of ocular conditions, such as the following, like allergy. So most common talaga allergy, anterior uveitis, okay? Mga inflammatory diseases, okay? Usually caused by infection. Kaya pag makikita niyo po yung mga antimicrobial na gamot, naka-combine sila sa steroids. Okay? They are also used for post-operative inflammation after surgery. Okay? Yan. So those are the glucocorticoids formulated for eye administration. How about yung mga injectables naman? Okay? So steroids are commonly given either systemically or by subtenon's capsule injection. So pag injection sa eyes, ito yung mga posterior segments diseases. Okay, that includes triamcinolone. Okay, so triamcinolone is for ocular inflammatory condition which are refractory to topical corticosteroids. Okay, we also use parenteral steroids followed by tapering of oral doses. So for example, ang parenteral niya, kunwari methylprednisone. Tapos yung kanyang oral ay prednisone. Okay, so this is very common, okay, for the treatment of optic neuritis. Hindi lang naman sa optic neuritis. Majority of the time after parenteral steroids, we switch to oral steroids and then we taper it. Ibig sabihin ng taper is slowly stop. So kung this week ay everyday, di ba? Everyday, gawin mo siyang every other day next week. And then the following week, twice a day. Then once a day until you stop. It's tapering. We don't suddenly stop taking steroids, including yung mga topicals. Kaya po, pag hindi nyo kailangan yung steroids, you don't also apply it topically. para hindi maging dependent yung skin nyo sa mga steroids. Okay? Because when you suddenly stop them, that would exacerbate your skin condition. We also have ophthalmic implant, fluocinolone, okay, which is marketed for chronic non-infectious uveitis. Okay? Ano po yung kanilang mga systemic side effects? So, classic systemic side effects, binanggit ko na yan, weight gain, moon face, malaki yung mukha, buffalo humps, yan yun. Yung inverted triangle, yung itsura. Parang ganyan yung tao. Ganyan yung itsura. Okay. Makikita mo rin, may ano din, acne. Yan. Pag systemic. And then, myopathy. Yan. Ano mo lang siya, makikita yan sa core strength nung ano, malaki nga yung mga muscle niya, pero hindi ganun kalakas yung strength ng muscle. Okay? That's how the glucocorticoids work. They make your muscle really big, but the strength is not comparable to the trained muscles. Okay? And for ocular toxicity, so ang pinakatatandaan nyo lang is the development of secondary open-angle glaucoma. So notorious ang mga glucocorticoids in causing secondary glaucoma, especially if you have family history. So, ano din to, genes. Okay? So, usually po, yung may mga history ng glaucoma, they will develop open-angle glaucoma when they take the steroid. Okay? Yeah? The rest are uncommon. So, pwede rin silang mag-cause ng cataract, keratomycosis. So, keratomycosis is fungal infection. So, bakit may fungal overgrowth? Because it's immunosuppressive. Okay, mild ptosis, mydriasis, papilledema, and mild exophthalmos. So, exophthalmos is like hindi drooping. Yung eye socket mo ay nagbabulge, bulging of the eye socket. Parang kapag meron kang hyperthyroidism. Okay? So that ends our discussion for the anti-inflammatory drugs. So do you have any question, mga doc, regarding the following? Okay. We. Walang tanong. Ba't parang ang lapit na ni Doc, ano? Live pala yun. Akala ko picture talaga niya. Sabi ko, lapit naman ang profile picture nito. Di pala. Live pala yun. Okay. So, may question ba, mga Doc? Wala? Gusto niyo ba ulit mag-assessment? Parang masakit na yung ulo ni Madam President to. Ano, Madam President, what's the pleasure of the President? Of course, we have to respect the President's opinion.
Kayo po bahala po, sir.
Uy. What's the prerogative of the Madam President? Nakakautos yung itsura nitong si Doc, ano eh. Si Doc David eh. Kala mo talaga nakakaawa siya eh. Okay, guys. Parang masyado pa tayong maaga kung magdi-dismiss ako. Kaya niya pa ba ng isang lesson? Or next time na? Kaya niyo pa isa?
Assessment na lang daw po pala.
Assessment na